Hey everybody, how you doing? Thank you very, very much for tuning in to this quick pop-up show. I really appreciate you checking it out, and I really appreciate the fact that today is the day that finally this record that we've been working on for a good part of 2 years now is finally out. And for obvious reasons, this year it was going to come out a little earlier, and was pushed back and pushed back, and but pushed back no longer. It's actually here. The record is right here. I actually have the CD. Double Dealin. Very, very, very proud to say that I'm able to have done this record with one of my all-time musical heroes, Randy Brecker. Man, a lot of you, I've been talking to a lot of you about, how that all came together. Speaking of a lot of you, let me look and see who's here. I actually have control this time of what's going on here. I want to thank, by the way, Daniel Chia in Singapore for producing these shows and helping me. And if you guys aren't aware of Daniel, I'm sure you are, but the one or two of you in the world that aren't aware of Daniel Chia in Singapore, he's an amazing saxophone player, great musician, fantastic records of his own, and all that. So anyway, but Phil, how's it going, Phil? Australia, you are up early, right on. Thank you. A lot of my Artist Works students. Russell Wong, hey Russell, what's going on, man? Russell was is a brilliant, famous photographer in Singapore, and he actually took the picture for my cover of my street dance CD. It was number 4 or 5, I believe. But hey Vlad, how you doing? One of my Artist Works folks, Vlad in Germany. Hey man, it's 2 a.m. Well, you're young, you can deal with it, man. That's cool. We won't go too long. And Roger Pace, Roger in Memphis. How's it going, Roger? Right on. Who else do we have here? You guys talking away. I'm skipping over your comments just to see you guys are rocking away. John Ernesto. I'm glad you like the CD, John. Thank you. Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. Gwendolyn. Thank you from hello from Delaware. Thank you. And Bob Atkinson, right on. And David Skinner, hey man, you were here just a few days ago. Thank you. And Carlos, everybody's here. Tom, you guys, Oscaring, thank you from Mexico. Muchas gracias. Cool, guys. Okay, so what the idea is for today is to talk a little bit about the record, but mostly, spin some tunes and talk about them and just give you a little vibe for the record. This is my 15th solo CD. Actually, this record and the record prior to this one are collaborations. This one with Randy Brecker, my last record, was with the great Chuck Loeb, and so it really is. It's really fun. I mean, at some point, I'm sure I'll make another record where it's just me and my band. But to do a collaboration record is really fun because you're collaborating, and it's not just your ideas. And especially when I can't imagine doing a record with somebody whose musicianship you don't respect. I mean, it wouldn't be. That wouldn't be a good idea, I guess. But I mean, Chuck Loeb on the last record and Randy Brecker on this record, it was just so much fun to, push ideas back and forth. Anyway, I do have my horn here. I'm not going to play much today, but I figured I'll just play a little something because, like I said, I've got my horn here. Yeah, it felt weird to actually sit here in front of a microphone and a computer and not. This is what I do these days. I sit in front of here, and this is my studio's over here. So, so I'm as a matter of fact, on this record, this is exactly where I recorded this record with, like everything else. So it feels very unnatural not to have the horn in front of me. Hey, Salvatore, Adrian, what's going on? Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Right on, Adrian, you wrote something in Spanish. I can't read. Thanks, Brian. Hey, Brian Anadon. I just played on a project of Brian Anadon's recently, and fantastic. Actually, George Whitty, who produced my record, actually is on it, and so is John Patitucci. So that's very, very cool. Right on. Phil gave me a standing ovation. I don't believe you, but I don't have proof, but I'll take your word for it. I do believe you. Okay, so let me play some tracks from this record. Double dealing. I'll start with the first tune. The only instruction we really had from the record company, Shawnee Records, Danny Weiss, president of Shawnee, was it wasn't as well. The sort of direction he was saying that he wouldn't mind if it was going in a smooth jazz direction. And like I said on our show, on our my usual show on Tuesdays, which we're going to do again this week, coming week, by the way, next week actually, um, was that my first inclination was the fact that, wow, I've got Randy Brecker, one of the most iconic fusion musicians of all time, on this record. I don't want to necessarily put him in a box, or George Whitty, who produced the record, or anything. And these days though, to make terms like smooth jazz or another type of jazz is just I think the lines are just so blurred these days. So anyway, the cool thing was that as we started sending demos to Denny, he was just really excited. And when it was all done and it came time to sequencing the record, which is one of the hardest, if you've ever made a record, one of the hardest things, there's two hard things about making an instrumental record. Number one is to name the songs. There's no catchy, vocal hook on an instrumental song. So, you just have to go with, what may have inspired you, or what the song sounds like, which is more often the case, but usually we've got like some silly name, tune in B flat, tune in D flat, and then you've been working on the song, for months, maybe even longer, and then finally it's done and it's time to name the tune, and it's like trying to, it's like trying to rename your 3-year-old child, it's not the easiest thing. Anyway, so one thing that Danny really, but pretty much the only thing really, was that he was kind of adamant about, was that he wanted these first two songs to be 1 and 2 on the record, because they are good radio contenders. So here's the title track of the record, and I may make some comments as we go play throughout. But anyway, this is the title track from the brand new record that just came out today, called Double Dealin', and title track. So this is called Double Dealin', featuring myself and Randy Brecker. I'm just going to interrupt Randy's solo here for a second, because people were asking on our last show when he was on, about the effects that he used on this record, and It really, we never really talked about it when we were recording. Obviously, because of what was going on this year, we had to record remotely, and I'd hear his track, and there was some tracks that he used plunger on, some tracks that he used harmony mute on, and on this one he used a more modern version of the funk box, which was the effect that he and Michael Brecker used to both use quite a lot, and this was kind of a more modern, little quieter, more record-friendly effect with the same same kind of wah-wah effect. It really sounds cool. Very, very classic Randy. So here's the rest of the solo. Okay, so for the end, you'll have to get the record to check out the surprise ending for the song. Yeah, I don't want to play the entire thing, but I'm going to hit on a lot of stuff. Let's see. I'm just checking out Edgard. Amen. Thank you very much for being here. Right on. Who else do we have here? Fabio. Atsuko, hey. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing great. Let's see. Miguel, right on. He's, who else do I have here? Let's see. Sam, Rogers, you guys are rocking. Thank you. Norberto. They're going by so fast, I'm not keeping track of everybody here. But, I did see Jeff Koshua a second ago. Jeff, man, everybody knows Jeff Koshua, one of my all-time favorite players. What is going on? So good to see you. Thank you, man. Cool. Hope you're digging it. Kurt, all right. Bruno, I'm trying to get all the names here. Thank you, Orget. Appreciate it, man. Right on. So let me play another song for you. So this was the other thing that our record label instructed. This is like the only other instruction was that they wanted this tune to be the second tune because it's a little bit different and a little different tempo. The record is pretty high energy, I'm proud to say, except, well, it's, it is high energy, but there's definitely some down things too. Anyway, let me go back to it. The one we just that I just played, I wrote with George Whitty, the producer of the record, and he did a lot of programming and played keyboards and all. He's just he produced the Brecker Brothers records once they came back from their 10-year hiatus in the 90s, and yeah, so this is one that he contributed of his own. This is called Three Deuces. Okay, you get the idea. So I mean, I'm checking out the comments here. I am guessing that it's a lot of musicians here watching right now, and so I think it's worthy to note, how we put a lot of this record together, being that we were sort of, it's not, well, it was the original intention was for us to record remotely, Randy living in New York and me here on the West Coast in California, but we were going to do some things live, but it didn't work out. But it obviously still worked out well, and the record sounds great, and we were really excited about it. But the process was interesting because when it came time to actually record our parts, Randy recorded everything before I did. I wanted to be the one matching him. I didn't want to put him in a stylistic box, or it made the most sense to let Randy sort of dictate how we were going to phrase the melodies, and then he sent them to me, and I matched them, and it was an interesting process, quite frankly. And I hope I'm not boring people who aren't musicians here, but when you're playing with somebody else playing in unison, intonation and time are everything. And if you're a little out of time, or certainly a little out of tune with whoever you're playing with, it sounds bad. And so that was crucial. And then beyond that, how much you don't want it to be robotic either. So it's cool to add a little vibrato where Randy didn't, or maybe play straight where he did, or maybe hang over, or play a little fall where maybe, so there's some life and personality. What I try to do, both in the solos that I recorded and even the written melodies, was to play complete takes, and then decide, is this a good match? Is it matching up? And if there were certain things that were not exactly right, that gave it life, that gave it humanity. So it was fun. It was incredibly fun. How bad can it be to sit there and try to match Randy Brecker? It was a joy. And then the horn section things that you're listening to, that's a different story. That really was about getting it really tight. And I mean, there's got to be personality there too. But if the intonation is just right, then it feels like a tuning fork. It just rings. So I want to play this next tune. This is called Fast Lane, and it features John Patitucci. He played bass, and he even has a bass solo on this track, and Dave Weckl, who played drums on a few of the tunes too. And it's just so much fun to listen to how Dave played. And I'll play the tune, and then we'll talk about the process of recording this one, because this was a little bit different. So this is called Fast Lane. Cool. Before we get into killing solo, right, by Randy. Holy moly. So with John's solo, we were John Patitucci solo now is coming up, and we were deciding on whether to just leave him completely open, spatially, or to put some backgrounds like we did with Randy, horn backgrounds. And we decided to go for it, and it was a mix issue. At first, you couldn't hear the bass, but when the bass was loud enough, then the horns got too buried. So we just with stereo, you be the judge. Actually, I don't know how well it translates over the internet, but we just tried, spatially to make sure that everybody had a place. It worked well with Randy and having the horn section that you just heard under his solo. It's a very typical big bandy kind of a thing. But with the bass, it's a little tricky. So you be the judge and let me know if you think the horn is added or subtracted to John's solo. If you think it's subtracted, don't let me know. Just let me know if you liked it. Cool. I agree, Bob. Kind of sounds like Funky Chicken. It could be worse. So yeah, I think it worked really well. I think having horns under John's solo, I personally don't think it detracted at all. He dug it. To be perfectly honest, when we sent him the mix, it was a very, very rough mix, and we did it super quick just to send him his solo, just so he could sort of tell what it was basically it. And his solo wasn't nearly loud enough. He said, "Yeah, my solo sounds pretty good, but the horns sound way better," meaning way louder. So we definitely fixed that, which we actually got serious in the mix. Anyway, so now we're going to the bridge of the song and then my solo out. And what I love about this, what was really inspiring to play with was Weckl. I mean, his drumming, just like, the whole tune, he's percolating and killing it. But from this point on, he just goes to another gear, and the tune just, really takes off. It's he's a bad boy, that guy. So here's the rest of the tune. Yeah. You hear that high G from Randy's trumpet at the very end there? Look out now. Come back. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Rick. You like the backgrounds? Good. Okay. Appreciate it. Steve Bailey. Hey, Steve. What's going on, man? Thank you very much for being here and checking this out. All right. if that's the same Steve Bailey, he's the head of the bass department at the Berklee College of Music. So, and obviously you know John Patitucci very well. So hopefully you dug that. Cool, Gil. Thank you. Awesome. If you guys have any questions, let me know there too. So the next tune is a tune that that we wrote for Chuck Loeb. It's called "Mind the Fire" for Chuck, and you know, anybody who knows me knows that Chuck and I worked a whole bunch together over the past 20, 25, 30 years, actually. You know, we did our duet record together 4 years ago. He produced the record of mine. Prior to that, we traveled all over the world many times. So when George and I got together that day, we were, I think we were a little bit unsure about what we were going to write that day. A lot of times we got into our writing sessions with somewhat of a preconception, and that time we didn't. And we just started playing, and then the thought of Chuck came along, and so this tune came together really very, very quickly. And I told this story on the last on our last show on Tuesday with Randy, where George had to leave fairly early that day, and so I said, hey, I'll finish it up and I'll play the melody just so we have a guide to work with, you know, so that we don't forget the melody that we wrote. So I set up my mic and played it down. And I remember, you know, it's an emotional tune. I remember really, you know, I mean, I don't want to get sappy, but I was crying. You know, Chuck was my best friend, you know, and so. But I, you know, got through that, you know, put it away, you know, went to go have dinner, and George called me. He said, man, the demo sounds great. And I said, oh, well, thanks. Yeah, we can work with it. He goes, you know, no. I mean, let's keep that. And I said, well, no, I mean, really? I didn't even have my tuner up, you know, I mean, come on. And he said, and so we, you know, and so we made some room here and there for Randy, and so we are, you know, this one's got a special place in our hearts. So let me give you a little bit of this one. This is called "Mind the Fire" for Chuck, in honor of Chuck Loeb. So here, real quick, you know, I had played through the whole tune, and so we realized, well, wait a second, you know, there's another guy on this record named Randy Brecker. So, so I went through and left and muted, took out spots where I had played to leave for Randy, and in some spots we played together, and it was kind of interesting because, you know, it was what it was. It was complete at that point, and sorry, and so I. You know, so when I said it to Randy, I said, hey, here's the idea of where, you know, I think would be good for you to play. And if you have any other ideas or thoughts, let me know. And he said, no, that's cool. At the end, we can just kind of play the melodies together, you know. And it's one thing to play a melody together when it's going by and it's rhythmic, but on a ballad, where there's a lot of emoting, you know, and stretching the time and whatever, not so easy. But anyway, I'll play more of that and let you know what I'm talking about when we get there. So here's Randy's first melody. So check this out. We're about to listen to Randy's solo. When I first heard this, rather when I first started putting the credits together, I was writing out, which tunes he played flugel on and which tunes he played trumpet on. And so I wrote out, I took one listen to this and I said, oh, it's flugelhorn, obviously. It's not. It's him playing trumpet. To make the trumpet sound that dark and rich and thick, is no easy feat. I mean, and this is trumpet he's playing here, and I joke with him and say, "No, come on, it couldn't be trumpet. It's got to be flugel." And this is him playing the trumpet and sounding. This is one of the most gorgeous trumpet sounds I've ever heard, quite frankly. So at this point, we're about to modulate, and it was a decision as to who should play the melody. Should I continue playing it? Should he continue playing it? And because here we are getting to more the pinnacle of the tune, and we decided to keep both of our melodies in there. And this is what I was talking about before, where we're taking different sort of directions and certainly different kinds of liberties with the melody. But it just, for whatever weird reason, it just sort of worked for us both to be in there, and to my ear anyway, and to ours, it worked. They complemented each other. Anyway, if you want to hear the very end, you got to buy the record. Sorry. Let's see here. What is that? Oh, okay. Let's go back here. Cool. So, what else do we have here? Hopefully, cool. I'm just looking at some of the. Let's see. Mr. Frank, you're curious about the recording chain for my saxophone. Let's see. Well, my microphone is a Mojave MA300. Mojave MA300. And I actually, my mic pre, I've used a couple, and my favorite is a Golden Age pre 73. Kind of a, it's a, it's designed to sound kind of like the Neve, yeah, it's just really true sounding. This microphone is fantastic. I've compared it. Told somebody the other day that when we record at Capitol, they've got one of the best mic collections of any studio in the world, and so Tommy Vicari, we do a lot of films there, a lot of Gordon Goodwin recordings. Most all of them are there, and they've got all the Neumann, 87s and even 67s. The really great mics, and he'll put those in the closet and break out his Mojave MA300s. In fact, it was his suggestion when I put the studio together. I asked him, what mic you recommend? This is my livelihood. I want to get a good mic, and he recommended this microphone, and it's not over the top expensive at all. So that's pretty much it. Thanks, Steve, commenting about our blend. I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly, Salvatore. Yeah, he sounds like a flugel, that Randy. Amazing. Hey, Indri, how are you doing? Another Artist Works folk. Thank you very much. Right on. Let's see. One other comment actually kind of ties into the mouthpiece. This was the first thing, that tune you just heard was the first thing I recorded on my new Eric Marienthal signature mouthpiece. Ta-da! I literally got this mouthpiece, I should say, that very day. And that was another reason why I was like, a little freaked that George wanted to keep that, because I had played my last mouthpiece for 35 years, and this mouthpiece I had played for about 35 minutes. So I designed the mouthpiece, but it was the very first recording on this mouthpiece, and so I was glad to hear that he liked it. It worked out. Cool. Any other? Oh, thank you, Daniel. You're on the case. Pulling up that retro revival. Yeah, so if you're interested in it, please check that out. Cool. So I'm going to play a little bit of the next tune. This is one of Randy's tunes, and it's just fun. It's called Sam Bop, and Weckl's just killing on this too. In fact, he plays. I'll skip to the end at one point so you can hear Dave's drum solo, just killing. But here's Randy's tune called Sam Bop. Cool. Killing solo. I had to play that whole thing. If you want to hear my solo, you got to get the record. Sorry. But I do want to give you a glimpse of Dave's solo here towards the end. Dave's playing Dave Weckl on the drums. Oops. Let me go back a little bit. Yeah, killing Dave. A funny thing, you could hear the horn section and everything going on during Dave's solo, and it's a lot to count through. And yes, for all you musicians out there, we did have a click. So if there was something, if while we were recording, I couldn't quite get the time, I could turn the click, and I could hear that. But Dave, again, for you musicians out there, Dave Weckl and John Patitucci and I play in the Chick Corea Electric Band, right, for a long, long, long time. In fact, we have a new, that band has a new live record, a live record from a while ago, but it's going to come out for the first time very soon, actually, probably towards the end of this year, early next year. But so there actually is a new electric band record in the works here. But anyway, Dave is. He's one of the most amazing drummers in the world, and he just, his playing is not simple sometimes. It is, it's as simple as it needs to be when it needs to be. He's just the most musical guy. But like a solo like that, there's a lot going on. And I remember talking to him one time about like playing over a complicated rhythm when he was playing, and he said, "Man, just listen to what I'm playing." And I said, "Well, I am listening to what you're playing." He said, "No, listen to the melody. Listen to the melody," he said. And I thought he was kind of kidding at first, and I was about to make some stupid comment, but then I realized, oh, wait a second. Yeah. And from that point on, that was years ago, from that point on, whenever I am playing with a drummer and there's like you're trying to play and the drummer's, if it's a good drummer, is playing something that is hard to follow, but the time is right, listen to what he's actually playing, just like us, like the melody players, we're doing different things and all, it's melodic. And so a good drummer is trying to create a melody too. And it made such a difference. It's been a big help to me, actually, in playing not only with him, but other folks as well. Thank you, Doreen. I appreciate that. Marcelo, obrigado. Greetings from Brazil. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. And Gianluca. All right. Thank you, man. Thank you for checking this out. I appreciate it. What else? Who else is here? Chris Boardman. Hey. How you doing, Chris? Chris is a fantastic, very successful composer, arranger for TV and film. And amazing, man. Thank you. Thank you. We recorded together a while ago, but hey, better, Mark, thank you very much. Awesome, man. Glad you're digging it. Okay, so what do we have up here next? Oh, okay, so this tune, the next one, I'll give you just glimpses here. This is one of our favorites. It's a Randy Brecker tune that we actually covered from, I think it's the third Brecker Brothers record. It's called You Ga, which is short for You Gotta Give It. And it's just funky. Check it out. Okay, good, a little bit more. By the way, Andy, thank you very much, man. You're digging the funkiness of it. Appreciate it. Rick, you had a question. Oh, thanks, Justin Z, about liking the horns. It's just me and Randy, so appreciate that. Thank you. Who's in the rhythm section on some of the tunes? Rick Converse. We how can I say this? The only other players besides George Whitty and myself and Randy were John Patitucci on bass and Dave Weckl on drums. Dave played on 3 tunes and John played on 2 tunes, and the rest is programmed by George Whitty. George it was not only the keyboard player but the producer. He mixed this record. He mastered this record. His buddy even helped us with the cover that you're looking at there. So George is extremely involved in this project, and he, as you can hear, he's one of the most gifted, sequencers, programmers there is. And so on this tune is a good example. He programmed the drums and he programmed the bass, and he's playing all the keyboard parts. But it's not like he finds like loop number 4, in GarageBand and throws that in there and boom, you're done. It's a performance, and he actually performs as he's doing it, and it's remarkable to watch. It's not like a keyboard player programming. It's somebody playing the instrument with that sound, and check this out. This is his drum programming. Then, so you could hear, number one, pretty amazing drum programming, right? It's pretty ridiculous. But anyway, so for the first part of Randy's solo, he's playing the plunger, plunger like a toilet plunger. If anybody's not aware of that, that's that sound that the trumpet makes when you're using that kind of a mute. And he told the funny story the other night about how when he got that plunger, he went to the hardware store and you buy a plunger mute like you buy a plunger for your toilet. The same place you go to you go to the hardware store, and so he finds this one that he figured would fit well on the horn as he's playing, and he buys it and he walks out of the store, and the salesperson comes running after him and says, Sir, you forgot the stick." And he said, "That's okay, I'm not going to need the stick for what I need this plunger for." And as he says, the salesperson has a really funny look, on their face, and walks back into the store with the stick, but I guess the salesperson had no clue what he was going to use that plunger for. Cool. Okay. Hey, Roxy, what's going on? Cool. Let's see. No, as I was going to say, hey, Andy, the tune I just played was drum programmed. There are a few tunes of the Fast Lane and You Ga, and then the very last tune of the record. So anyway, and then what else do we have here? Thanks, Gregorio. Appreciate it, man. Cool. Okay, so moving on. I'll skip the next tune, let you, I don't want to play everything here. Here's one called The Hipster that I really dig. It features actually not just programming from George, but he's actually at the solo at the end. But I'll give you a little piece of this one too. On this one, the horn arrangement is sort of like, it's kind of a tribute to Tower of Power. There's a lot of, Doc in there. You can hear the Barry. I played. There's a lot of pickups, a lot of disjointed stuff that doesn't actually join the section, but it's sort of a kind of a rhythmic setup for the section. So, yeah, it was not the easiest thing to play, but it was a lot of fun. So that gives you a little glimmer of that one. Let me go back. Let's see. Hey, John. Hey, Phil. What's going on? Yeah. You asked if Randy had shared John's question, if Randy had shared stories about Michael Brecker, or does he talk a bit about? Oh, what's the? I don't know what you said there, but anyway, yes. Actually, I knew Michael very, very well. He, with the Chicory Electric Band in 1988, we did a tour with Herbie Hancock's band, and Michael Brecker was playing in Herbie's band, and so for that year we did quite a bit of traveling, and it was all Chicory and Herbie Hancock. It was all big venues, and so we always had dressing rooms, and there was one room that always was assigned to me and Michael, and so it was our backstage room, our dressing room and our warm-up room, and so I got to warm up every night, with Michael, and travel and all that. So yeah, I got to know him quite well, and just the most humble guy, unbelievably so, and incredibly funny, Gosh, what a loss. Cool. Okay, so and then there's a tune on here that was written by Ada Ravati, who is Randy's wife, and she's an amazing musician. She engineered Randy's playing on this record, and she's an incredible saxophone player in her own right too. So this one, check this out. I'll give you a little bit. It's got some odd meters going on as well. It toggles between 5/4 and 4/4. This is called Jet Lagged. you get the idea. If you want to hear my solo, or Randy's, or much more of this record, we are again. This is the reason I'm on tonight is the fact that today is the release date of the record. As you see, streaming at the bottom, I am more than happy to send you an autographed CD. More than happy, largely because without traveling this year, there aren't too many opportunities to get rid of CDs, quite frankly. We're all about honesty here on this show. And so I've got a pile of them here, and so I was very happy that after last week's show, quite a few folks checked out the CD and went to my PayPal, which is information there is streaming at the bottom here. PayPal account, and whether no matter where you live in the world, you can follow that information right there at the bottom. $30 if you are living in the U.S. and $40 if outside, and that includes, of course, postage and everything. And I'd be more than happy to do it. It's having a CD come out. It's like one of your, well, I was going to say it's kind of like one of your kids' birthdays. No, it's not like that, but it's pretty special for sure. Again, I'm going to play one more tune here for you, but thank you so much. Felipe's here, and oh gosh, Phil, been hanging out. Thank you guys so much. A lot of you are from my Artist Works school. Hey Kurt, how you doing, man? Right on. Anyway, so I do have a jazz saxophone school at artistworks.com. It's purely virtual, but if you go to artistworks.com, they are actually running a 25% off special right now with the subscriptions, and so it's a very cool. I'm very proud of the school. I've had it for about 5 years. There's about 200 plus lessons in there, everything from putting the horn together to playing giant steps and everything in between, and tons of tracks and exercises, as my students will attest, and tunes and all kinds of different things. And so if you want to check out ArtistWorks, www.artistworks.com, or artistworks.com/Eric, and that'll take you to the school there. Cool. Yeah, where are we here? It's a little hard to see here. Where am I? Oh, hey, thank you, Salvatore. Appreciate it. You're digging the sound. Love that. Thank you. Curtis and Sharon from Columbus. Hey, man. Thank you very much, Kurt. Let's see. Okay, let me play this last tune here. Oh, thank you, Phil, endorsing my school. You would know, you're very involved. Rob Silverman. Hey, man. Rob Silverman is a fantastic drummer from St. Louis. How you doing? I just got to play on his unbelievably great CD. You got to check out Rob Silverman, Silverman's record. Dude, you got to post what the name of the record is. But it features a whole ton of drummers. See, I'm supposed to be talking about my record, and here I am talking about yours. What's up with that? But anyway, it is killing. Yeah, Indri, you're one of my students as well. Thank you very much. Yes, it is. It's time for you to send your video. Cool. Drumology. Yeah. Check that out. Ralph Silverman Drumology. It's like a encyclopedia of drummers, and it's an astoundingly cool record. So I'm very, very proud to be part of that record. So please check that out. Okay, so speaking of drummers, Rob Weckl on your record. He's got to be. I know he is. The last tune on this record was another one that Dave Weckl played on, and this was actually the first tune that I wrote for the record with George. And so let me go back to my thing. Yeah. So it's called Habanero, and sounds a little something like this. folks. All right, and it goes from there, yeah, Dave's just, again, these tracks were just so much fun to play with and just create, just because the playing was just so much fun to listen to, much less, help put together. So anyway, that is the record Double Dealin'. I really want to thank you very, very much for tuning in and checking out this record. Again, today is the release date. If you're into getting the record through the normal channels, you can check out my Facebook page and or website, and that's also fine. But if you'd like an autographed copy, I am more than happy to send you one. So the information is right there, right there. So check that out if you would. Again, thank you for supporting. We're going to do another show. We're keeping our Tuesday shows going. So, information about next Tuesday evenings, Tuesday evening here on the West Coast. That show will be shown on my Facebook page. So we'll be promoting what we're going to be doing on that show on the banner there. I want to thank Daniel Chia for producing these shows as always, and for just being completely amazing. And yeah, right on. Well, thank you very, very much, everybody. And be well, be safe, keep these around, and we'll be seeing you soon. Keep them around your face, for that matter. We'll be seeing you soon. God bless you all. Thanks again. Take care.